I remember this story almost every day. Whatever I remember, I will never forget it. I don't forget Eva either, my childhood best friend. Eva and I have been friends since childhood. I spent every summer in the village with my grandmother, and Eva lived there. Our houses were in the neighborhood, our relatives knew them for a long time and communicated well. Of course, Eva, almost from the moment I first found myself in the village, became my friend. Eva was a very mischievous and cheerful girl. Blonde with big blue eyes, plump lips. She was incredibly similar to an angel, but at the same time, by nature, she was a fighting girl with a boyish character. I was a more timid, shy, green-eyed brown-haired woman. In general, it's almost complete opposite, but together we were like one. We were not to be separated. All summer from morning to night, for 12 years, we spent together. Every time, sitting in a dusty, boring city and talking to absolutely insipid people for me, I looked forward to the summer to see Eva again and spend a wonderful summer again with my best friend. We often went to the sea. Our village was near the sea, so all summer we swam in the salty warm sea, warmed by the warm rays of the sun. When we were 14, we got into a big fight. As I now understand, the reason for our quarrel was so insignificant, petty and stupid that it should not have happened at all. The reason was in Robert, a local handsome man. He was 3 years older than me and Eva and literally drove all the girls crazy. Eva and I were head over heels in love with him, but he gave his preference to Eva, and after that we no longer communicated. Earlier than necessary, I packed my things and returned to the city. Since then, I haven't seen Eva for a whole year. Every day in the city I mentally thought over how we would make peace, because I had long forgiven Eva and counted the weeks, days, hours until I saw her again. And now this day has come. I came to the village, and although it was already late in the evening, I did not immediately go to my grandmother. I ran to our place with Eva by the sea. It was always not crowded, because there were often strong tides, and we really liked to fool around there. To my great happiness, I also saw Eve sitting on the shore. She didn't look at me right away. I gathered my will into a fist and was afraid that Eva was still offended by me for the words I had told her before leaving. I called out, "Eve," and she looked at me. A smile appeared on her face, so bright, radiant, that I immediately understood. She forgave me. Eva stood up and ran up to me. "I've been waiting for you," she said. I tried to hug Eve, but for some reason she moved away. I didn't try again. Then I noticed how Eva became nervous. "Let's get out of here," she said. "Why?" I asked. "Please, please," she asked nervously. And we left. We talked about this and that. I didn't bring up the question of Robert, we just chatted about life until almost morning. And then Eva said that she urgently needed to leave and that we would meet again later. I was surprised that Eva took a different route, not the way we usually went home, but along the road through the cemetery. I decided to go home the usual way. Grandma was already waiting at home. She was a little mean. To her questions why, having arrived in the village in the evening, I came to her only now, I answered that I met Eva and we walked with her until the morning. I haven't seen her in almost a year though. Grandmother fell silent and looked at me for a long time dumbfounded. Then she came up to me and touched my forehead. "It seems to be healthy," the grandmother said in confusion. I was at a loss. What did I say wrong? Can't I take a walk with my best friend now? "What's the matter, Grandma? I'm 15 already, by the way," I remarked indignantly. Grandmother sat down and said, "So Eve died in the fall, drowned." From this news, I just involuntarily fell on the sofa. I saw her with my own eyes, chatted with her. How did she die? It turned out that Eve was swept into the sea by the tide, and 3 days later her body was found on the shore of a neighboring village. Then I found out that at night in the place where we liked to walk with Eve, there was a strong tide. I would just be swept out to sea. Like Eva, she saved my life. She came back to rescue me. Although more than 10 years have passed since that time, I am still frightened by that phrase Eva said to her at our last meeting. See you even later.
Thank you for your attention. Subscribe to the channel.